we have forgotten the difference between what it means to believe something and what it is to know something. It's very, very um, quick, or it's very hard for your mind to not recognize that you're actually only believing something. And well, the example that I like to use is the National Science Foundation survey from 2012 when they asked Americans, do you think the Earth goes around the sun or do you think the sun goes around the Earth? Right? And obviously, the Earth goes around the sun. And even in 2012, 1 out of 4 Americans thought that the sun went around the Earth every single day. Embarrassing. And we all know that's wrong. How would you prove it? Or at least how did we prove it to ourselves that that's actually what happened? That was the case, that the Earth went around the sun. How do you know? Because it's not so easy to tell, honestly. It doesn't matter if we're living now in 2023 or in 1600. It's just as hard. And I'm not suggesting that everyone should be able to go out there and prove it, but you should know how it was proved. If you don't know how we proved it, and the proof is not very easy, then you're actually just believing something. You don't know it. You're just believing what you were told. And it's like, I trust my
Yeah.
teachers. I trust everybody. I trust the majority of people. They couldn't get it wrong. That's fine. But you don't know it. You're just believing. And that distinction is something that only a disciplined mind is willing to accept. To say, oh, I actually just believe it. I don't really know. Like a while ago, David, you said, it's not unreasonable to go with, okay, I'm going to go with CNN, or, what is the mainstream narrative? That's fine. But realize that you don't know for sure if that's true. And if you don't leave open that window of uncertainty, then you're going to be mired potentially forever,
Right.
especially if you don't want to talk about it with someone. I mean, you could just go off for hundreds of years thinking that the earth is flat, or in the case of, Western Europe, thinking that the sun went around the earth. 1100 years,
Right. Yeah.
because
Well,
nobody was
it's
willing to
well,
push.
100%. I mean, you can answer this question in a couple different ways. One, from a metaphysical perspective, how you know things is through direct experience, right? And your subjective experience is different from everyone else's. So then it becomes challenging to ascertain big truth. But I think flat Earth is a perfect example of the breakdown of institutional trust, because now you have a contingent of people who are going are not going to trust any official narrative, no matter what it is. So you told me the Earth is a sphere. I'm going to think the exact opposite,
Yeah.
reflexively. And while, of course, you can't trust what people say, even experts who are credentialed and established as the consensus thinkers on any given subject, you do have to go through that personal investigation, or otherwise, as Madhava pointed out, admit that I'm just believing what somebody else told me because I
Yeah.
trust them, not because I've actually verified it proactively myself. But I do think we have to leave room. There has to be some level of trust we have towards each other as a human community. Meaning, like Madhava, if I go and if I need anesthesia, I'm going to trust Madhava. Now, I'm not going to be able to say I know exactly everything there is to know about anesthesia, but if I don't trust Madhava, then I could be putting myself at risk, right? In a sense of I'm not going to undergo this medical procedure because I don't trust anybody. I don't trust any of the experts. So there is some level of trust we have to have towards each other, which needs to be balanced with the acknowledgement that if we're just accepting what somebody else is saying, we haven't actually done our own due diligence on it, right?
Yeah, this is pointing to like the almost impossible task of like we can't lose the utility of each other, right? Whether it be to hold expertise in various domains or whatever it might be, like we have to be able to use that utility. I mean, that's the essence of collaboration. That's the essence of people coming together to create amazing things. Is like we have to be able to trust each other's expertise. But what I'm hearing from you, Madhava, and I think this is kind of how we all feel, is really this idea of like also being able to understand like the difference between when we absolutely know something versus hey, we're believing because we are using that utility of one another and their expertise. I think the challenge, and I think this is where it's very hard for people right now to navigate that dynamic, is we're in a time where we've just been lied to so much by the experts. It's so evidently true that that is the case. And we've been lied to so much by institutions that we're supposed to trust that now it is so hard for people to navigate that utility in a meaningful way. And so what I'm acknowledging here is, I think regardless of what principle or way in which we can frame this discussion, I do think it's a difficult moment. It's a really difficult moment to figure this out, and it's going to take a lot of time for humanity to kind of find that trust again and to figure it out. But I don't think the answer is to never trust again, and I also don't think the answer is we have to for ourselves learn every single thing there is to know, whatever, because obviously that's impossible, right? So it's this pathway of like navigating this space, and I think what we're trying to avoid in this as a collective is getting, David, to that point that you made about reflexiveness. We have to avoid saying, well, if it was on mainstream media, it has to be false. If the government says it, it cannot be true. If this person said it, well, then that must be true. If that, we have to get out of that and actually sit in that river of the unknown and be okay with it and learn to develop our skills of inquiry, our skills of critical thinking. So when the rubber hits the road and we do have to figure it out, we know how to do it. Versus
100%.
we don't know how to do it and we're just going to go on believing whoever we choose to believe.